It is March 27th. It's a Friday, and it's about 5:15. And I'm going to come back here and talk about relationships once again, and so we can improve them. Because we've seen the grave consequences that can happen when men don't understand how to navigate through them. So, and when they don't understand women, and when they don't understand their value, and when they don't understand the, when women don't respect them, and when they don't understand when a woman, and what happens when a woman doesn't respect them, right? So you got to know these things, and what to do when you don't have respect, right? And then in addition to that is, I believe that it's more important to be the alpha seed or alpha bang side of women's dual mating strategy than the beta male provider side. And I've highlighted criminal cases. I've done 8, I think, so far. And what we've seen in all of them is that the male has been a victim. He's lost his life. He's been a great beta male provider. The female had been having a sexual affair. And in all of them, the man had a considerable amount of resources and was highly respected. So this is definitely a pattern. And the men in the cases, great men, but they definitely weren't told, they weren't respected, and they didn't recognize it. They didn't recognize the danger they were in. I say this to, prevent this, and so that men can have more beneficial results from their relationships. So, and I say this from my 50 years of dating. I've done a lot of it and made a lot of mistakes, and I've learned through learning about myself and reading and learning about women, which I love that subject, and just experience. 50 years of experience. I'm just giving my opinion. So hopefully men can connect the dots and do better. But this is downtown Houston, fourth largest city in the nation. So, nice day out. A little bit windy, so I apologize for the wind. But anyway, this is it. But so, what case we're going to talk about today is going to be the Kouri Richins case, and that just ended. She just got convicted, and I believe she received a life sentence without the possibility of parole for giving her husband fentanyl, a lethal dose of fentanyl, so yes, he was just convicted. So, so what happens in this case? Well, this case starts. They got married in 2013. I don't know exactly when they met, but she was working at the Home Depot at the time, and she's a very attractive woman. I've read a lot of her text messages just from the court case, and she's very articulate. And I consider writes very well. So anyway, she worked at the Home Depot. I'm sure to me it appeared that she has the ability to manipulate in a sense, and it's not a bad thing, but she's charming. So to be an attractive woman, to be charming, I think that helped her become involved in the relationship with Eric, because men will notice this stuff. And so anyway, he was in construction, and as he went through the Home Depot quite frequently for his construction duties, he would see her as the cashier. And after a time, they said that he was afraid to ask her for her number, so he had a friend go in and ask her for her number, and then he asked her out. So but just a little aside is never do that. Don't ever have your friend go in and do that, and I don't know if this led to her demise. I don't think so, but you got to have the balls to go to yourself. A woman won't respect it. Like he got the date, he got her number, but so a lot of times they'll file that away into you're a bitch. So women can't stand weakness. So that's why sometimes it's hard as a man. You got to stand on it. Like, you got to go in there and, get that number. And if you fall on your face, you fall on your face. That's what women respect, This guy came in here and asked me for my number and fell on his face. Well, or whatever. But, or, this guy had the, balls coming here asking for my number, and even though if they don't like you, they will still respect it, unless you're kind of a creeper looking dude. If you're ugly, they don't like it, but whatever. So, but if you're a normal dude, they respect it. They really do. I've done it before, and I had some beta male men say, "Oh my God, you're gonna get in trouble for doing that," and nothing came of it. It's not something I enjoy doing, but I've never gotten in trouble for asking a woman out. So, but anyway, so one of my best relationships is because I had the balls to go up to her and ask her. I couldn't believe it. So, but I just had to. So, but yeah. So anyway, yeah. So let's continue on with the case. So anyway, they ended up going out. They ended up getting married in 2013. They ended up having 3 boys, I believe, 3 boys. Everybody said that he was an awesome dude. He was a great dad. So just like we've talked about before, once again, great guy, awesome dad, family man, loved, being involved with his kids, and they said that's part of the reason why he didn't want to get divorced, because, he loved his kids, and that's why a lot of people don't want to, a lot of men don't want to, have their relationship end with their wives or whatever, or baby mama, but, you got to understand that, that's a dangerous position because, without any leverage or with something holding you back or whatever, and now you're controlled, just like anything, they say, that thing becomes your master and you become its slave. So, always, you always got to consider that, but you got, like it says in the movie Heat, don't get committed to something you're not willing to leave within 30 seconds when the heat comes around the corner, so I always like, that's a great movie, by the way, Heat, great, whether you want to say manosphere or red pill movie, yeah, it's awesome, but, so I digress, but, but at some point, they start having, problems, even though, may I go back just a little bit, is that Eric Richins was, he got into the stonemasonry business, and he had a very thriving business. They said he was making, I think, up to $2 million a year or something like that. I mean, definitely they were millionaires. So he was doing real well, and they were having a good time. They were going on trips and, enjoying the fruits of his labor. Kouri also appeared to be doing well, but it didn't, after all said and done, it didn't appear that way on paper, because what she was doing was, because she was a real estate agent that was flipping houses, and she would buy these mansions, and she was supposed to be flipping them or whatever, and then obtaining a profit. Now, as far as the details, I don't know if she ever sold any. I know she was, in serious debt. I think it was up to $7 million in debt, and she allegedly, on the night of his death, she had just bought some major mansion that wasn't fully finished, and she bought it for like $2 million, and then she was going to sell it for supposedly $12 million, but that never got done, so because she was arrested and everything, so that usually is a problem. But she was in serious debt because what she was doing was buying these houses, and I guess not being able to sell them, or maybe not sell them for what they were worth or whatever. But that's a hard business. It's I think, as far as females go, I'll just say this, in my opinion, it's flashy, it's sexy, for lack of a better word, but because you're buying these mansions, and you're flipping them. It sounds cool, it really does, but you got to fix them up. I mean, you're dealing with subcontractors, and you got to get stuff done and fixed, and there's going to be problems, and you're going to be a manager basically before you sell it, managing a project manager, and that's not easy, and to stay on budget and to stay on a time frame. And so I think maybe she bit off more than she could chew. It appeared that way, so that's why she didn't want to get divorced when she was having marital problems. She liked the lifestyle she was living, but she definitely was having marital problems. She was told her friends about it, and what happens in this case, just as all the other ones, she has an affair. I don't know how she met the man. He did testify in the case. I did a breakdown on their text together. And she definitely, with this guy, she was not at all in love with the guy as far as the text messages I was reading. And the guy was definitely more in love with her. That's why I kind of think that she was a charming type person, and she probably gave it to him pretty good, if you know what I mean. So that's important. Those kind of women men fall in love with. So this guy apparently fell in love with her and was wanting her, to himself, and was very much hoping that she would get divorced. But at the same time, he had nothing to do with the murder. He had nothing to do. I mean, he was just a good guy. Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, she did have a sexual affair at the time. And so once again, we see the same thing, same pattern. Good dad, $2 million a year. I mean, that's in the 1%, probably less than that of, income earners in the world or whatever it is. I mean, that's you're in a class of its own. I mean, making that kind of money. So, but it didn't make her more devoted. It didn't make her more aroused. It didn't make her more interested in her husband Eric, and she actually was complaining to her sexual affair partner that that the marriage was bad. So, looks, money, status. Your money and your status. To me, it didn't matter. I mean, what did he need? $10 million? Would that have kept her from having the affair? I mean, it doesn't protect you. Now who you are, and their interest in you, and all that, and being that alpha bang, like I say, that alpha bang guy for her. She has to believe that you're her hero. She has to. Women have options at all times, and they're constantly being, they're constantly receiving offers from men, and if you're not respected and you're not seen as, a true badass in her eyes, you don't think she's going to entertain? I mean, just as a man, if you got options all the time, and you're getting offers, daily, weekly, whatever, your wife's going to have to, she's going to have to perform. So, men have to understand that they have to be the woman's hero in these cases. So anyway, and then Eric even knew. He was even saying, if I end up dead, it's going to be her. And I don't see how a man can say that. I just don't. That seems very reckless. If a woman's saying that, you got to love yourself enough and respect yourself enough to go, it's time to go. I'm out of here. You got to. You have to. That seems like a big. I mean, it cost him his life. To me, I mean, if you're saying those things, what is so important? You can't raise your kids if you're not alive. His kids are now growing up without him, because of bad decision making. And I want to try to get on his case, but I mean, what else can you say about that? I mean, the guy's saying my wife is trying to kill me. He even put the estate in his sister's name, and his life insurance policy he changed over to his sister, which Kouri was not happy about. So secretly, he did that secretly. So this was not a flippant, yeah, she's trying to, do away with me. No, I think he pretty much believed that, but the fact that he didn't protect himself, it boggles my mind. And so men out there that are in relationships, and if you're having trouble with the relationship, there's no sense in sticking around. If she doesn't have desire for you, you can't create that. You cannot. There's few options. Because there's someone out there. I've learned there's someone out there that will have desire for you, that will be interested in you, that will respect you. And if this person that's next to you doesn't, whatever, in your relationship, why are you wasting your time? And I know men often see women in scarcity and whatever, but if you become single and get out and do the work and obviously keep yourself in shape, I definitely believe looks maxing and getting jacked, that's definitely important. But obviously your mindset, you have to have your mindset right. We always talk about mindset's the most important. Who you are, who you believe yourself to be inside, that's the most important. But you also have to have a strong and you have to be. Why not look your best? I mean, who can argue against that? You need to look good. Women want you to look good. So, and there's one content creator. She's taking a break, I think, now, but she has awesome content. It's My Non-Leather Life, and she has done a lot of content. But she's taking a break. She had a baby, I believe. But she said one time on her one of her lives, she said a young guy asked, what's the one thing I can do like most impact for chicks to dig on me, right? And she was big on looks maxing. She's a chick, and she was very honest. I loved her stuff. Check her out. But anyway, she said you need to look max. You need to be the best looking guy you can be. And I totally agree with her. It can't be the only thing. Obviously, your mindset is, if you're a good looking guy with, that's insecure and not confident, the girl ain't, she won't deal with you. But, give yourself the best, option or best chance for success in a relationship. And like she said, looks maxing, or being the best version of yourself physically, right? So anyway, so moving on. Apparently, like I said, Kouri Richins had bought the mansion. This $12 million mansion that she was planning to sell for $12 million, and so supposedly they were having a celebration. Now, she's the only one I think that's reported this celebration thing. And supposedly Eric wanted to celebrate, She had apparently bought from a drug dealer. It was her housekeeper. She bought some fentanyl pills. They have a check that she wrote out, to this lady. And the lady had said, that she had purchased drugs from her 2 times, and so they think that she tried to poison him twice, but the first time didn't work. That's what they think. But anyway, but she said she wanted like 15 fentanyl pills or whatever, and so she made him allegedly his favorite drink. This is only the defendant or Kouri's version, but she put him in a Moscow Mule, which is a common tactic. Women have usually end men's lives in indirect ways, like hiring hitmen. Poisoning is a very popular one. There's antifreeze. There's an antifreeze trial going on right now. Kouri used fentanyl, or confronting men in their sleep and using a firearm. That's I'm just saying, that's the 3 ways that we so don't have them make you any. Don't be eating nothing they give you if you're having trouble. Watch out for strange men walking around. I'm kind of kidding, but and then watch out in your sleep. So, but that's women are indirect because they can't confront men head on, right? Not never, but usually that's how it goes, right? So, so she gives him this around 9 o'clock, I think, and so he drinks it. This is always funny. She goes to the bed. She goes and sleeps in her kid's bedroom or something. It's always, when people, are in these murder cases, it's always funny how they just happen to be away at the Walmart or the Kroger and, somehow come back and find him, or they just happen to sleep in another bedroom that day, so I always kind of laugh about that. But anyway, so she did the same thing. She was in her kid's room because he was having nightmares or something like that. But anyway, she went back into the bedroom, and Eric was cold. She tried to move him, and he was not responsive. EMS came out. He was deceased there. Nothing happened with the case for a little while. She ended up writing a kid's book on grief, how kids could, deal with grief. And that's kind of ironic. But right after she went on some TV show promoting the book, the arrest was made. And then she went on trial, and she was convicted of his murder. So I think it was just 2 weeks ago. So. Looks like justice was done, but once again, this case shows you have a very accomplished man, a very loved man, a very devoted father, a very beta male, provider, as the guideline goes. You know, he's a great parent. He provided and he protected that family well. So he didn't protect himself well enough, so that's unfortunate. But and then you also have the sexual affair. You know, you will always have that, and that seemed to be a thriving sexual affair. So once again, you know, this is a pattern. And like I say, you have to be a woman's hero. You have to be her number one. If she's decided to step outside the marriage, you feel like she stepped outside the marriage, she no longer respects you. When she doesn't respect you, she can't love you. When she doesn't love you, she doesn't care anymore. And like I said, there's all kinds of deaths. It's a broken record at this point, but you know, she can take your house, she can take your kids, she can, ruin your reputation, or you can lose your life. So this is important. Men need to learn, in my opinion, how to deal with women, how to know they're respected by women, and and have specific standards that they stand by. And if they don't receive that kind of treatment, they need to be able to walk away, because that is your leverage in a relationship. The ability to walk away. And if she likes you and she wants to, change at that point or whatever, she will. If she doesn't, then you know. But women are ruthless and ice cold to men that they don't respect and they don't love. So that, I think that wraps up the Kouri Richins case. And that's what we got from here. And hopefully, men are learning something from these. I think this is the 9th one. So, so enjoy your weekend.